Hello and welcome. It's This Is Going Well, I Think, with David Cooper, and I'm David Cooper. It's This Is Going Well, I Think, the only show where no one's listening, no one cares, and every episode's the last episode. In the Canadian province of Alberta, about 88 clicks west of Edmonton, there is a small town with a very unique tradition. They elect a grouch. That's right, a grouch. There is a sign for Evansburg that says clean air, fresh water, friendly people, population 784 people, 29 dogs, 41 cats, and 1 grouch. Some eccentric guy made that sign, but every year they elect a grouch since 1979. We're going to find out about this silly tradition and speak to this year's newly elected grouch. Her name, Sheena Melin. If this isn't absolutely ridiculous, I don't know what is. Let's sink our teeth in. Hello. Let's just have fun with it. We can go weird. We can go deep. I am insanely curious about this story.
It is a weird story. I mean, it's a weird kind of quirky little small town thing.
Well, let's start there. Let's, Evansburg, you are what, 88 clicks west of Edmonton?
About that, yeah.
And in the, 70s, as it were, this tradition began? How did it begin?
Well, it all began with, the sign, the Welcome to Evansburg sign. John Lauer, when he was painting it, he put the population, he put the number of cats, the number of dogs, and then he decided to just add 1 grouch. And that way, if anybody encountered somebody grouchy in town, then they'd be like, oh, it must be that 1 grouch that's on the sign. And then, they kind of snowballed from there. And then every year they started electing a community member to actually represent the grouch. And that's me this year. So
was that a cutthroat election? Like that election spares no prisoners?
I bet it's been cutthroat in the past for sure. This year it was against my neighbor. She lives across the street. She's way grouchier than me. But I mean, I'm more fun, I think. I don't know.
That sort of goes against the concept, though. Like, if you're more likable, you might get more votes, but it's the least likable person that should win in the end. I guess not, though.
I mean, it might have been that way in the past, but I mean, it's a community thing, right? Like, they want somebody that's going to be out in the community, be involved in different community activities. And I mean, if you're an actual grouchy person who hates everything, I mean, you're not going to any of that stuff. They don't actually want you.
I guess not.
Right? So, I mean, it's fun. I mean, I've gone to a couple things already. I was in a parade and handed out candy, right? Like, I don't know what grouch hands out candy, but I stole a lot of candy from kids too, which was fun.
That's important.
And then I handed out popcorn at another community event. And that was fun, but I like to only give popcorn to grouchy kids, right? I was like, show me your best grouch face. And then they one kid was growling at me like a crazy person. She was hilarious. Future
grouch of the town. Who is this man who came up with the awesome sign concept of population 784 people, 29 dogs, 41 cats? Like, who comes up with that? Why does the town allow it? Side note, I love this town. I love this sign. Who is this guy?
I don't know much about him. I've never met him in person. I don't even know if he still lives here. He could even be a myth. John Lauer was his name. If you come to the post office in Evansburg, there is a little thing to him and a picture of him in front of the sign. And then every year they add a new grouch name onto that list of people starting from 1979. Eventually they'll run out of room. But I mean, the town loves its quirky things. We get elected for the grouch on Pembina Valley days. So there was no holiday in August that suited our needs. So we made our own. So it's called Pembina Valley Days, and it just celebrates the community of the Pembina Valley region. There's a car show, the grouch gets elected, there's a parade, there's all kinds of activities for families and kids, and it's just a fun kind of community get-together. In Entwistle, which is our community across the river, different county, different town, across the river. they have Canada Day. So they do Canada Day. We do Pembina Valley Days. So it's like a little friendly competition. See who can be the more, exciting parade for that weekend, because it's the second weekend in August is Pembina Valley Days. So we like to compete, I think, a little bit. When you're a small town, you don't have a lot going on, so you create your own fun, right?
I hear that. I'm in downtown Manhattan. It's very similar. Entering Williamsburg, it says you're now entering Williamsburg, oy vey. I like towns that have fun with their signs. Tell me about the Grouch, the role, your duties, your trials, your tribulations. What is a day in the life of the Grouch?
Well, the hardest part is being grouchy. Because I'm not a grouchy person. I mean, I'm usually quite fun. Anytime that anybody wants the Grouch to come to their event, they just have to email my PR person, which is last year's Grouch.
Is that part of the duties? You're this year's Grouch's publicist? Is that what's going on?
I think so, right? Like, so anytime anybody wants me to come to anything, they arm me with this. I get this lovely pickaxe here.
Seems violent. I love it.
I don't know if it's to defend myself against people who try and attack me or what it's for. But you do community events. So I've done parades. I have another event next week or this week at the end of the week, a carnival. So it's just like a kids carnival. I don't know if I'm doing popcorn or what I'm doing. And then there's the Grouch's Ball every year. So that one's a fancy dress activity. So you got to come up with a fancier outfit than, your overalls and your hard hat. But it varies year to year. There's no set, like you have to go to these set things. If there's different activities going on in the community, they can have the Grouch come there. The Grouch did a lot of things last year at the elementary school because she was the librarian for the school. So, I mean, she kind of found a way to just incorporate her everyday job into being the Grouch. I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I don't have that. But I do have, I homeschool my kids and we do the junior forest warden. So I'll be doing that. I'm sure I'll find a way to get the Grouch into those activities. And it's just each Grouch kind of makes their own year, right? Like you can be a grouchy, like, I hate all life and I'm not doing anything. Or you can go to as many community events as they'll have you and you just show up and you be grouchy, you don't be grouchy. Last year the Grouch went skating and skating was not her forte. So she more so stood on skates. I mean, she didn't skate. I can skate. So, I mean, I'm hoping that I get to go to that one this year. As long as I don't fall and make a fool of myself in front of the children.
But I feel that's got to be at least part of it. So you mentioned past Grouches. Are there any past Evansburg Grouches that you look up to? You must clearly stand on the shoulder of giants here with your current role.
Well, I think so. It seems like our street seems to have a lot of Grouches on it. Like my neighbor's, she's not the Grouch this year because she lost, but her sister's been the Grouch and she lives down the street. The last year's Grouch lives on this street. 2 years ago, Grouch lives further down our street. And then there was another one on their street. So we might actually be on Frowning Street. That's the Grouch's address, number 10 Frowning Street.
I am a Jewish person, but my girlfriend is not, and I've been forced to watch this movie one too many times. It's a movie, I'll give you that. But things that past Grouches have done that have caused sort of notoriety or made the local papers.
I don't know. I don't know. There used to be a really terrifying Grouch mask. Remember the old rubber style masks that terrify people? And I think there might have been some sort of incident with small children that it was just nightmare inducing. And so that's out the window. It's gone. Like they do not have, it's in the museum. It's been put away from people so it doesn't have to make an appearance. But I'm hopeful that maybe I can do something, this year to shake things up a bit with the Grouch and maybe, get myself into that book of legend.
Well, anything you're particularly proud of that you've done to date?
No, I've only done 2 things so far. But I mean, I did make a lot of children grouchy that day.
Good.
I feel like I refused a couple kids popcorn because they would not make a grouchy face. I was like, listen, only Grouches get to deserve this popcorn. And so, I mean, did they go home and cry? I hope not. But maybe they did. Who knows?
Kids these days, they're taught to be friendly. They're taught to share. They're taught to have a good attitude. And I guess what you're telling people is that's mostly the right way to do it. But occasionally it's maybe okay to be grouchy.
Well, and I think that's what John Lauer was hinting at there with the sign, right? Like, there's going to be a grouchy person. You're going to come to a town. Majority of people are friendly. Majority of people are like, hey, how's it going? But you're going to meet somebody that's having a bad day, that's grouchy, and that's the grouch. So I think, we can't be happy all the time. But, I mean, you can't be grouchy all the time either.
I agree with that. Are you more popular than your town's mayor?
I don't know. That's possible. We don't have a mayor of our town, actually. It's the mayor. The mayor is the mayor of the county.
Okay.
And Yellowhead County's huge. Like, we go all the way to Jasper. So I'm probably more popular in this town. The Grouch, anyways, is. Myself, I don't know. But the Grouch, I think, is more popular in our town than the mayor. I don't know if the mayor's ever been Grouch. That's possible.
May well be. I still think there's something kind of perverse here where if you're really likable, you're more likely to get votes, more likely to be elected the grouch. It's the person who's unlikable that it should really be the person who gets the least amount of votes if you really want it to be true to form here.
That's true. I mean, but people vote with their money, right? Like, that's how the election happens. It's not about it's not a physical vote, it's a dollar vote. And then that money goes towards the Pembina Valley Days. So, I mean, all I need is a couple of rich friends, and then I'm in.
It's just like these fat cats in Ottawa, just like these fat cats in Washington. It's always money that gets people into office. And I'm in some ways proud to be finding out that that's true for the Grouch as well.
It's true. I mean, it started off probably as a way to, get the Pembina Valley Days off the ground. It's like, hey, let's get people to vote with their dollars. I don't know. I did have somebody put in $1 million banknote. So whether or not, that was accepted, I don't know.
Maybe don't go to the bank with that one. I mean, I'm not a financial advisor, but you pass that off as currency, you might be a little more grouchy than you are now.
Yeah, it's possible.
You mentioned there's maybe no official duties, but showing up at this parade probably is one of them. Another one that I read, the Grouch is not allowed to use profanity. Why not? I feel like that's something a Grouch might do.
Well, perhaps maybe there was a Grouch in the past who took it a little too far. I don't know. I think, like I said, it's more a community thing. It's about being in there, and a lot of the events are kid events, family-friendly events. I mean, you can be a Grouch on your own time with the profanity, but I find it's probably, you got kids looking up to you.
I hear that.
I'm sure their parents use the language at home, but...
Well, I think it's important to teach kids what the words are and when it's appropriate to use them, as opposed to try to pretend like they don't exist. And in a public forum, when you're a figure talking to other children, that's a perfect example of a time not to use them. So maybe I'm in agreement here, as profanity-laden a person as I am.
Yeah, I am too. I gotta curb it when there's the children around. But it probably depends, because at the Grouch's ball, there's no children there. So that's an adult-only event.
Oh boy, Grouch after dark, I guess.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been yet as the Grouch, so I don't know if that's a possibility. It could happen this year. We'll find out.
Stranger things have. So, Evansburg, why might someone want to visit your town? I know why I want to visit, solely on the basis as you've created someone amazing enough to create that sign. You have this wonderful Grouch roll. It sounds like a small town that could be a lot of fun to visit, but why might people want to visit it?
Well, there's something going on every week in town. There's activities. We got, like every small town, there's a pumpkin festival in the fall. There's parades and activities throughout the summer. We got the good old fashioned Legion that's got the meat draw every week. And so you can go down to that and win some meat, which is, I moving to a small town, I was not familiar with the Legion and the meat draw. But basically you buy tickets and you win meat. Like, that's the prize.
Like, what kind of meat we talking here? Like cold cuts, bologna, tenderloin, T-bone? What?
No, like roast chickens, steaks. Yeah, it varies from week to week. Sometimes it's salmon. Sometimes it's pork chops. And then there's the bacon and eggs, and it finishes off the end. It's a great way for the Legion to raise money. So that's a fun time. We have right near in our town that runs right through, separates us from Entwistle, is the Pembina Valley and the Pembina River. And the Pembina River is like one of those great little rivers. It's slow moving, it's not very deep, and it's very popular destination for people to come floating. So you put in at one part of the river and you float in your tubes along the river, and you get out at the campground at the end. So it's a great family adventure. Unfortunately, the tubing company that was here, that was a good place to put in, burned to the ground in our wildfires this year. They're currently rebuilding. Hopefully be back up and running next year, but for the summer this year, they were not running. So that was a kind of a major dent to our tourism in Evansburg. And then there's the museum. At the museum, they actually have a fun cutout. You can stick your head in there and be the Grouch. And you get this, he's got this the miner. He's a logo that we have, the Grouch, and it's copyrighted too. So, it's not, we take it serious. We don't want people messing with our copyright.
I can see that. I want to rewind back to the free meat because you mentioned pork chops. I recently started doing my pork chops in a saltwater brine, and it is life-changing. How do you do your chops?
I don't generally eat a lot of pork chops.
Oh.
I prefer a pork tenderloin.
Ooh.
Grilled on the barbecue with a little bit of Montreal steak spice on there, and then you roll it every couple of minutes and cook the sides and then slice into it. Put a little bit of applesauce on there. Yummy.
Yeah, I'm feeling it.
You say you're Jewish?
Well, I was raised Jewish. I don't believe in God or anything, so I do eat pork. But the fact that I wasn't allowed to eat it growing up, and then as an adult, my own personal beliefs, I don't really care. Obviously, my parents aren't serving that. But yeah, I've come to really like the pork chop. I think I had my first pork chop at like 25, and it really changed my life. And it was salt water and sugar brined, and then done in a cast iron. And I think this is maybe the best use of this interview to go over how to make your pork chop. I think that's an important question for anybody, really.
It is. You gotta know how you want to cook something. Cooking is delicious. My sister-in-law likes to she does cornflakes, and she breaks them up, and she does a breaded pork chop.
Ooh, I use those panko breadcrumbs. You ever heard of those? The Japanese breadcrumbs? They're really crispy.
Oh yeah, I think the cornflakes are just the cheap version of the panko crumbs.
Probably, yeah. Okay, so are you looking forward to next year when you're the publicist for the 2024 Grouch?
Yeah, because I don't know if you heard this year, they had a hard time getting a nominees for the Grouch. Nobody nominated anybody, and we kind of came in at the last minute after a desperate plea of we need nominees. And so the previous year's Grouch nominated myself, and the neighbor's daughter nominated her. And it was kind of whoa, we don't have anybody that wants to do this thing. And so this next year, we're going to try and have a new Grouch committee and try and get it to... Because we've got a lot of new people moving into the community and a lot of new young families. And, people aren't as familiar with the tradition of the Grouch. And so we don't want it to kind of die. So we want to get new people involved in that. So I think that's we're going to have a push for the Grouch committee next year. And that'll hopefully bring attention to it. And we won't have that problem again, because not having the Grouch would be sad.
I completely agree. All right, my last question for you. What's your favorite part of this so far? Is it the notoriety? Is it the yelling at children? Is it the strange getup you're in that includes overalls, a red wig, and a hard hat? Favorite part about being the Grouch?
I think it's the local celebrity status, and I don't know if it comes with parking downtown yet. We're in early days.
It's a perk.
But I would love to have some sort of Grouch parking space, middle of downtown. It is the local celebrity. I keep saying that to my friends and family. I'm I'm a local celebrity, very localized, but celebrity nonetheless. And, last year's Grouch, she got recognized a lot by the kids because she's in the schools all of the time as the librarian. And so I'm hopeful to just knock her down a peg and be one step higher up on the level of being the better Grouch. Although, because she's my publicist, maybe if something comes in that is really going to take me that step further, she might kibosh it. I don't know if she's vindictive like that, but...
She was a Grouch. We can only speculate. I'm loving this parking spot. It should say something like, reserved for the Grouch. All violators will be yelled at, given dirty looks, maybe receive coal for Christmas, whatever it is. I think that sign that marks your reserved parking spot, should you get one, I think is going to be another point for great comedy. And I know your town can do it because your town sign is effing, there I didn't swear, is effing awesome.
It is. We do have a bench. The Grouch has a bench. It says, 1 hour of grouching time, and you can sit on the bench. A bench isn't a parking spot, though. I mean, we got to come in, in the 70s, it was a bench, okay? But now we need a parking spot.
I'm starting to see maybe you're doing your media rounds. I know the CBC put out an article. Are you doing the media rounds just to get enough attention so you can get that parking spot?
I'll do anything I need to do to get the parking spot. I mean, CBC is pretty, you're Canadian, right? Canada, CBC.
I am. I do know Canada.
I mean, word on the street is a previous Grouch was on Jay Leno. Now, I know that we don't have any late night TV shows at this time, writer's strike and all that, but I'm just saying that if I could get into one of those shows, that's like notoriety and that's fame and that's going to live forever.
And that's going to just maybe get you that parking spot, which I'm starting to see is your real reason for being in this, but that's very Grouch-like, so I like that.
I mean, I'll do it, I'll do it for the popcorn too.
Fair enough.
I mean, parking spot would be better, but popcorn is acceptable.
Sheena, or the Evansburg Grouch, thanks for being here. This was a fun chat.
Yes, thanks for having me.